most importantly,
so you've commissioned submarines and you don't know the cost
now, so that we can build them in the future to make.
But Secretary, and you don't have a working estimate for the cost of a submarine. You don't have a working estimate. Have you got an update on Operation Pianora?
I haven't that I can give you, but I'll try and get you one that you can use later on your show, Nick.
You know what it is, don't you?
Not on the full details, so I don't want to suggest something that I don't have the information for, but I'll get you those details.
Hang on a second. What do you think it might be, Minister?
I'm not going to guess, Nick, because I don't think that's the right way to treat you or your listeners with respect.
This could be the biggest scandal ever to hit the British Army. This is the Wiltshire Police investigation into alleged offences between 1970 and 2016, the biggest ever military sex abuse scandal, and you don't know what it is.
Forgive me, Nick. I'll get you the full details on that, so you can use them later on your show.
Okay.
But I would on these things, I would prefer to give a full answer rather than a partial one.
You didn't know what it was, did you? You also talk about the nuclear submarines and to develop up to 12. What does up to mean? That could mean 1.
Well, these are long-term decisions, first of all.
How many is it, Secretary of State? I mean, up to is I could lose up to 30 pounds of weight, but I might lose 6 ounces. This is the reality. So what does up to mean?
Well, currently we have 7 attack submarines in our attack submarine fleet. We're looking at the new generation of attack subs. What we're doing now is making the investment in this Parliament to allow us to have 2 production lines, to double the ability to produce, so we can produce submarines every 18 months in the future.
And how many will that be, Secretary?
That will allow us to grow the number of attack submarines and meet our NATO commitments in the future.
How much does each AUKUS sub cost?
At the moment, we're designing and looking at how the components put together. You say yourself it's 2030s into the 2040s before the first of those submarines.
I know, but you must have an idea. So we don't know how many, and we don't know the individual cost. Can I buy a car from you?
No, look, to be quite frank with you, we can't tell the precise cost of what those subs will be.
You must have a working estimate.
We're doing that now, but most importantly,
so you've commissioned submarines and you don't know the cost
now, so that we can build them in the future. We're creating now, with the investment we're making in this Parliament, options for the future, and we're guaranteeing the security of future generations in this country and in NATO because of the investments this as a government is wanting to make.
But Secretary,
and we
you don't have a working estimate for the cost of a submarine. You don't have a working estimate.
At a level that we haven't seen since the Cold War.
All right. When was the last time your party was in touch with the electorate?
Well, I would say we are now. Literally, it's not translated.
Prior to now, Chairman, Co-Chair.
Well, look, I think I know what you're getting at, but look, I know what the challenging
why don't you answer the question? When was the Conservative Party last in touch, when they were in power, with the electorate?
Well, I think we're in touch with the British public.
So
because
you
many
agree.
Of our
your party hasn't been in touch with. I've given you 4 chances, Mr. Huddleston. Your party hasn't been in touch with the electorate for years. Can remember, and it's just been shown last night and through the course of today.
Nick,
you are as in touch with the party as I am with being a lead dancer for the Royal Ballet.
Nick, I can either answer the question or I can listen to you making comments.
Nigel.
Which way do you want to go?
Go ahead, Nigel.
The really important thing is we understand one of the reasons why we lost the last election is precisely because the British public did not see us implementing sound conservative values, policies and principles. That is low taxation, small government, living within your means, democracy, freedom, patriotism, these kind of values and principles that we know not only do we hold dear as the Conservative Party, but the British public did. Now, partly through circumstances, the pandemic, for example, it's difficult to be the party of low taxation when you spent £400 billion on the pandemic, but also partly because we didn't focus on the things we said we would do to the degree that we should have done. Immigration, let's be very clear and honest, being one of them. We let the British public down, but we paid the price for that at the last election.
As regards President Trump's assertion that there is an invasion happening to Europe, would you use that word?
I think we've got a huge problem with immigration in this country. The numbers are way too high. That deterrent needs putting in place. People cannot be allowed to break into this country, arrive illegally, and be allowed to stay, claiming the benefits and claiming all of the other costs to the British taxpayer. Those scenes that we're seeing at hotels are entirely unacceptable. The fact the number has started to go up since Labour came into power is devastating for this country and devastating.
But is it an invasion?
Well,
would you use that word?
I'd say there are devastating numbers of people.
So you wouldn't use the word invasion, just to clarify.
It's uncontrolled and it's devastating. It has serious consequences and costs.
All right. I don't think we're going to get the word invasion, but I'm grateful to you, Matt Vickers. Thank you.
Even for more serious crimes like arson or ABH, which command prison sentences of up to 4 years, the government are going to say that you can be released with having served only a third of your sentence. This is a slap in the face. It's giving criminals a get-out-of-jail-free card.
What did the Conservatives achieve in this area after 14 years in power, Mr. Jenrick?
Well, government is tough. You have to take difficult decisions, and we strained every sinew to keep prisoners locked up. We deployed 1,000 rapid deployment cells. These are emergency prison cells. We signed prisoner transfer agreements with foreign countries like Albania. We did everything that we could to prevent this sort of situation. Well, it feels like Labour is reaching for the easy lever of releasing prisoners early rather than putting in the hard yards.
Is it true that the number of additional prison places provided during the Conservatives' years in power was 482?
We should have built more prison places, absolutely.
You built 482 additional prison places over 14 years, and you're lecturing this government, Mr. Jenrick. How do you think my listeners will react to that?
Well, because what needs to happen here is we need to have a proper plan that actually protects the public.
What happened for 14 years?
Well, let me explain. What the government's saying is that they need to find 9,500 additional prison places in the years ahead. And they're going to do that by letting prisoners out early. What can happen instead is that we get the 10,800 foreign national offenders out of our prisons and deported from our country. Or we could tackle the 17,800 people who are in prison awaiting trial, but who aren't being put through the system quickly enough.
Why didn't the Tories do that?
Well, we have worked on these things, but that's a lot of people. A third of the people in our prisons are either foreign national offenders or they are on remand awaiting trial. And so the government should be focusing on those things rather than, for ideological reasons, letting people out onto the streets early, which are going to put the public in danger and I think spark a crime wave, because there's no sense of deterrence if instead of going to prison, you merely get a tag. And the Justice Secretary's latest big idea is called prison outside of prison. I don't even know what that means. That sounds ludicrous. The idea that a tag or not being allowed to go to a football match is somehow a punishment for a criminal.